Explore more of the world, engage with others, and embrace global cultures.
Perfect.
استكشف العالم أكتر، اتفاعل مع الناس، واقتدن الثقافات المختلفة.
Awesome.
That's
That's really
Arabic.
All right, welcome to today's Explorers, a series dedicated to sharing the inspiring stories and varying perspectives of those who have chosen to seek out life-changing adventure. Welcome, Sherif and Poe.
Thank you for having us.
Maybe you could set the scene for us. Where in the world are you calling from, and what can you hear, smell, taste?
Yeah, so we are now in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We're originally from the US, but we moved to the Middle East, I think, back in 2008. So we've been in the region since then. Smell and taste, yeah. So, well, it's Ramadan, so people can't smell or taste anything. But yeah, it's a unique blend of different cultures here, but it's unlike the UAE, which was more mixed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia is very Saudi Arabian.
Right. Interesting. Let's set the scene then on your background. Maybe you could give a brief introduction of your background, what led up to your seeking life-changing adventure.
Well, I grew up in Massachusetts, and we got married. He grew up in the Boston area. We got married, had two kids, and we're living in Boston and working. When the boys, we have two boys, when they were 3 and 4, we decided to have a change of scenery while the kids are young. So we moved to Abu Dhabi, and we thought it was a short trip, a short destination for work, but we fell in love with the location, the people, just everything about the UAE was livable, and we loved it. So we ended up staying there for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Our kids started KG1 all the way to 12th grade at the American school, and now they're both back in the US for college. So,
Wow.
and then we decided as empty nesters, why not have a change of scenery after that? And so we decided to come to Riyadh, and I'm glad we did. We fell in love with it the first few months because this country had been so closed to the public, to everyone else. And now that we're in here, we're starting to see that there's so much to discover.
That's amazing. Any travels before then?
Yeah, well, I was born in Egypt, and my family immigrated to the US when I was less than a year old. And so I think during that childhood, we didn't really travel that much, but we ended up moving back to Egypt. I was maybe 9. And then when we were there, I don't know, when you're in the US, it's almost hard to leave the US. But when you're in the Middle East, you're in the Middle East. You can easily go to Europe and the West. You can easily, go over to Asia. So, growing up, I spent a lot of time kind of bouncing around a little bit, at least while we were in Egypt. But then, yeah, now that we're here in the Middle East, we've been all over the
Everywhere
place. It's just the world's become more accessible. So
Yeah.
it's been really nice. We've had a lot of adventures.
I'm ethnically Cambodian.
Okay.
So I went over during the Khmer Rouge, born during the whole, Khmer Rouge situation. Was a refugee, and my whole family went to the U.S. in the 80s. So, and I think I'm so grateful to be able to leave the U.S. and have our kids experience what the world looks like outside of the U.S. So that we traveled so much. Like Sharif said, if you go 6 hours to the right, you're in Asia. 6 hours to the left, you're in Europe. And we found that traveling was our thing that we got addicted to, and meeting new people and food, and it's just all very exciting. So really,
Yeah,
love it.
you definitely got bit by the travel bug.
Yes.
Sounds
For
like.
sure. It
That's
was really
great.
good for the kids too, because I think they're different, right? So now they're back in the US in college, and you can see it was almost a hard adjustment for them because they were so, I guess, worldly, and their worldview is so expanded compared to their peers. So, and then for us, that was actually, that was a targeted move. I mean, we took them everywhere, exposed them to different cultures. I think it helps kind of break down barriers, and yeah, so their mindset is kind of like who we aspire to be. They're already there.
Yeah, no, I can totally attest to that, having grown up in Mali, West Africa,
Yeah,
till I was 13. It just opens your mind from the
Yeah.
get-go that there is a world outside of your passport country, basically.
for sure.
Um, That's amazing. So, do you have any special skills that you bring to your travels and explorations?
Well, I think my background in design, I guess, um, helps me with tinkering with the car and coming up with different modifications, different ways to make our travels more comfortable. So I enjoy that. I mean, I'm not a mechanic. Wish I were. I wish I could learn, to do more of that. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day I'll have to. But yeah, so I mean, I think I'm obviously good with space and spatially planning things in my mind, so I can kind of see things and where we're going. And then Poe has a whole set of other skills.
So I provide food. So that we have enough food, not overwhelmingly extra things. You know, how when you pack, you tend to pack too much, but I make sure that, there's a list of things that we need. And
Yeah, you're really good in
yeah.
planning and logistics.
And the way, if I were to pack the car, nothing would fit. But somehow, with his background and his, like he was saying, his spatial recognition of where things go, everything fits in perfectly. And the availability to see outside is his. I don't know how he does it, but he does. And it's amazing. So it's comfortable. And we have everything. And yeah, so we've been going out every weekend just to see what's out there.
Awesome. So, where have you explored so far?
Oh, when
At
we were
this
in the
stage?
UAE, we went through all the different Emirates. I mean, we were there a long time, and fortunately, we met a family who, and they actually kind of drew us into, sort of vehicle-based exploration. We would go out for long weekends. Yeah, so all over the Emirates, the different Emirates. We went into Oman a lot. I mean, Oman was such a rich, Saudi was closed off to us, so we had no concept of what Saudi was all about. So Oman was kind of like our go-to because it had, beautiful coastlines. It had incredible mountains, wadis, valleys. It was just a really rugged and unique landscape. So we spent most of our time, in that area. Now we're in Saudi. I mean, I think it was mind-boggling really when we first moved here and sort of trying to plan, well, where are we going to go? What are we going to go see? And kind of laid the map of Saudi Arabia over the United States and over Europe. And it was kind of shocking, to see how big it is. It's a massive country. And the geography is just so varied from north to south, east to west, that we've not even scratched the surface. I mean, we've been here, what, 2.5 years now, and I feel like we've barely seen anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, even for me moving back to the UK, it's sort of like, oh, I haven't explored that part or that part. Or
Yeah.
even when you go down a road that you haven't done before, that's exploration as well.
Yeah.
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 That's cool. What are your top 3 next destinations that you'd like to explore then?
Boy, well, there's an area to the south called the Asir and Jazan region. It's much cooler. It's down towards the Yemen border and also near the Red Sea. And I think it's where it has Saudi Arabia's highest mountain range there, or one of. So the geography is really different, has really diverse wildlife. We're excited.
There are baboons.
See baboon.
So I'm
There's a lot more
excited to see
baboons.
that.
Tabuk, which is all the way up north, which is sort of past where the Neom project is. And that's kind of the opposite. So it's much more arid, but it's also a very high elevation. And actually, that's where when Saudi Arabia does get snow, which is very light and very
Very
little, it's in the Tabuk region. And there's just some incredible landscapes there. And it's also the end of a sort of volcanic corridor that goes all up the west side of the country. I can't remember how many, like 400 volcanoes or something.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I have no idea. So that whole area is something we've dipped into that area, but we have to go back. And then the empty quarter. So it's the biggest sand desert in the world. That's probably like the biggest challenge. And I don't even know if we're up to it. I mean, physically we're probably up to it. I don't know if our car is up to it.
yeah.
Because you have to like lug, I don't know, 400 liters of gasoline with you so you can make it through. And our car has limitations, so I don't think we could do it in our car. So maybe when we change it up, but then we'd have to change our names and everything.
Yeah.
Couldn't be the tank campers, so it's complicated. So we'll figure it out. I don't know. There's friends who told us there's sort of ways you can go in quick and then come back out without having to deal with all that. So those are probably the top 3 areas I think that we haven't gone near and explore.
Nice. And where would you recommend people go to in Saudi Arabia?
We did this one camping trip where we drove from Riyadh all the way to Al Ula, which is the next big destination. But apparently, I think about 5 years ago, this area was like so cheap to go and stay and look and experience what Al Ula is all about. But since then, everything is super expensive. So what we did when our kids came home for Christmas one time, we decided to stay in not a very luxurious hotel, but then discovered Alula. And then afterwards we drove and camped out there. And what's special about Alula is the formations that are so unique to that particular area. It's like you're in this, I don't know, spy.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've never seen anything like it. If
It's
you
really
ever
good.
get a chance, I mean, definitely,
It's really
it's the
unique.
one place that people should see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for me, that's my favorite place here in Saudi.
Nice.
Yeah. So far.
So
I mean,
far.
the place is so big.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. So you mentioned tank campers. You have a pretty unique vehicle and one that I haven't seen before. Maybe you could give an overview of it and any modifications you've done.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we moved here, we had Land Rovers back in the UAE. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring it with us because you can't import a car that's more than 6 years old. And then just looking around the market, I couldn't really find another one that we wanted to buy. I thought, oh, maybe I'll go to an FJ. There was like nothing was available. Somebody tipped me off to this Tank 300, which is made by Great Wall Motors. So it's a Chinese car. And my first reaction was like, oh, no, I don't think I can go to it. But we went and checked it out. And actually, I had my eyes on another vehicle that was sort of like a Chinese Jeep, but it was actually our son, who's quite tall, didn't fit in the back. His head would touch the top. So I was like, okay, that's not a good car. So we checked out this other one, this Tank 300.
Yeah.
It kind of takes some cues from the Broncos, so I call it a Tronco. But it surprised us. I mean, when we first drove it just in the city, it really felt good driving it around. But then when we took it out, it's a really capable car. I mean, it really is. So I wasn't planning really to modify it that much, but then we went out this one weekend with friends of ours who were Jeepers, and this guy had totally modified his Jeep, and I'm just looking at it going, oh wow, we should play around with that. But the market for a Jeep, it's very easy to modify your Jeep or a Land Rover, but not so much this car. So I had to like go through AliExpress, and I'm looking, the Chinese market, and it's kind of iffy, but I found some really good, reliable places. So we switched up the suspension.
The bumpers.
Yeah, we ordered some steel bumpers just, after dealing with bumpers in the dunes and removing parts from it and seeing people lose their bumpers all the time. I thought it would be a good move to get some steel bumpers. And we added a winch to that and then an air compressor. So we have like an onboard air compressor. So, the terrain is really rugged around here between the sand and just the dirt tracks. So we're constantly airing up and airing down. So that was a big modification for us.
And different tires.
Yeah, different. I mean, lots of little modifications. Yeah. So
Nice. That sounds good. How about equipment wise? What are your top 5 always bring with you equipment?
always bring with us. Well, definitely the GPS. I think nowadays people can't go anywhere now without the GPS. I feel like I can't even drive around the neighborhood without Google Maps.
Yeah.
So that's great to have. But we also people share their tracks all the time. So it's really good to be able to follow other people's tracks, especially when, the landscape and the areas are sometimes a little bit dodgy. You don't know where you're going, whether you're allowed to go, whether it's open. So that's key. Recovery gear, absolute must, especially in the, because we run into little sandy bits and dunes all the time. Even though we try to avoid them, they're unavoidable. I think, when we're going on at least a 1 or 2 day trip, we always have our power station. So we have an EcoFlow power station.
And a first aid kit.
First aid kit, number 1. And then, I know it sounds we're a little spoiled. I mean, I put this on the list.
A chemical toilet.
A toilet,
A
for
flushing
years,
toilet.
a shovel was perfectly fine. But, that we saw this toilet, we're like, and we tried it out, and it was just it was a game changer. It was just so much easier. You have your little tent and, you're fine.
Yeah, you don't have to go far. It definitely made it it's the highlight for me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
shovel or the toilet. And the shovel does double duty because it helps us get out of the sand too.
Where do you put the chemical toilet though in your vehicle then? Just in the back?
Well, yes, only the two of us, so it's usually in the back seat. And when we take the trailer, I prefer to stick it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that. I didn't realize you had a trailer as well.
So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
the problem with this car is that it is abnormally designed, meaning that the trunk of the car is very small. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
small.
strange. So when our kids are with us, the only way that they could sit in the car with all of our belongings is having something, that we can tow.
Yeah, first I got
Right.
a rack. I put it on the tire and got like a roam box. That got us around, but then the car was so loaded and it was above spec for that.
Mm.
I know and when I looked up the specs, it had an amazing towing capacity. So I was like, oh, maybe we can get a trailer. And I saw some guy in one of the groups we're in who posted this trailer, and so I started looking around, and there's an outfit in Dubai that creates this fabulous off-road trailer. So with a great suspension, and yeah, so we customized that, and even built some, we spoiled ourselves a little bit. We put a water heater in there, and there's a shower and toilet cubicle, and
We haven't used any of it yet.
oh, we took it out a few times. We haven't used the shower, but yeah, the kitchen, the kitchen's cool. It's nice to
That's
have.
cool.
I think our plan is to go off road for about a week or so and see how we do with all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the main reason why we wanted the trailer, so we could have more water, so we don't have to
Yeah,
run on
it's like 90-liter
things.
water tank. Only trick is the landscape. If I knew we could stay in rugged terrain, I'd take it with me every time. But the problem is, each time we go out, I'll ask some of the people we're going with who know the track, and they're like, "Yeah, I think there's some sandy bits." And I feel like maybe I'll challenge myself. I'll bring it this time. If we're cruising through it and we, deflate the tires enough, it should be fine. And then when I get there, I'm like, oh man, am I glad I didn't bring the trailer? We'd still be stuck there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, one day. At least you have it now, so in
Yeah.
case you do need it. Interesting. Cool. Well, we're now getting into the reflective questions. What inspires you guys to explore?
I think we have different reasons. I think living in this region where there's so many malls, so many restaurants, and you sort of kind of get sick of all of that. And you want something different. I think being raised in the US, my family, we went camping a lot. It was where we disconnected from everything and just enjoyed the environment for what it is. Nature just grounds you and brings you, just changes your mindset and be like, okay, this is what it's like. Like my best sleep is when I'm out there.
Mm.
Where you could see the stars and you could smell the campfire. You just look forward to it anytime that you get a chance to go.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's what it is. Because, enough coffee mornings and dinners and lunches and stuff. It's like, okay, we need to get out there and see trees and rocks and whatever else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I guess it's kind of the thrill of the unknown. I love going into places where you don't know what to expect. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know who you're going to find, who you're going to find along the way. That's always exciting. I mean, sometimes it's uneventful. Sometimes you don't meet anybody. I mean, I guess it's just getting out there and exploring and meeting other people, exposing ourselves to new things, different places, different foods and experiences and all that. So I think whether we're, that's in our car or whether we're flying to another place to go check out another country, yeah, I think it's driven by the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes life interesting, I think, just
Yeah, for sure.
getting out of bed and going and exploring.
Yeah.
How do you engage with people then, locally and any other fellow travelers?
Well, we discovered on Facebook a bunch of different groups of people, and one of them they're called the Riyadh Rovers. And it was started about, I don't know, like
30 years ago.
Yeah.
And the name is the Q. I mean, they were Land Rover owners who like to go out together and in groups and just explore the country. And back then, 30 years ago, Saudi Arabia was a different place. So, but the group survived, and it's a really interesting group of people, some who have been here
for
30 years.
Mm.
a lot of newcomers, but yeah, so there's a lot of people with a lot of experience, and people are constantly setting up different tracks and routes that they're going on. Usually the groups are small. Sometimes it'll only be 1 or 2 cars. Sometimes it'll be 6. And if it's like a dune thing, that always attracts a lot of people. So we usually avoid that. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think yeah, that's all about that group. But then
There's a lot of different groups that go out. There's a 4x4. There's
yeah, there are a bunch of different.
yeah. So when we first came here, we wanted to just see what it's like out there. And so we found some places where we could camp. And then I decided, oh, we don't know this place. So what if it's not, not safe or whatever? Sherif had been following a couple on YouTube that used to live here. And they were part of the Riyadh Rovers, and that's how he found that group. And they're like-minded people. And what I found about this particular group is that they're so knowledgeable, and they don't make you feel like you're an idiot if you cannot drive over a dune, or they're so helpful with one another. Just a very different type of group where it's not just about fun, and it's not just about checking off points on where to go. They actually go there and they talk about this region used to have this, so the knowledge just keeps coming. We find ourselves continuously learning and feeling so excited about what we're learning that day. So yeah, it's really exciting.
We also engage with, I think the question was about engaging with others. I mean, Poe had the idea, when we got here and we went out a few times, we're like, wow, this place is different. And I think we were both impressed by it and both surprised by it. And it wasn't what we expected from Saudi Arabia. And certainly, people always have a preconceived idea of Saudi Arabia. I think that's starting to change, but probably not enough. So she had the idea to start, she's like, let's start a YouTube channel, document our travels, document what we're doing, and share that with people. So that's one of the, I think, main ways we're engaging with people, at least online, and we're finding a lot of people, not just in Saudi Arabia, who are interacting with us through the different platforms. So it's pretty cool. So we're connecting with people, that way through the groups that we joined, learning from them and sharing experiences. So it's been really rewarding.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, those are what the tools are there for, to engage with others. Why do you think it's important that we embrace global cultures?
Yeah. It's local culture?
Global culture.
Global cultures.
Yeah, I think, and this goes back to when I spoke about our kids, right? I mean, when you understand different ways that people live and react and work, it broadens our own perspectives. I think it helps us to become better people. It challenges our biases. I think when people come to Saudi Arabia, that's one of the first things that happens. So I think for us, and also, just being sort of, American Egyptian and Cambodian Egyptian, we have an appreciation obviously for our own culture, even though, we're both American. But yeah, so, I think the first, and that was actually a struggle for me growing up, even just embracing my own culture, because like I said, when I moved to the States as less than a year old, I just thought I was American. And when we moved to Egypt, I had to embrace not just another culture, but my culture that wasn't mine. So that was the beginning of it. And I think once I got over that hurdle, I realized and appreciated that. I think you want to expand. I wanted to expand in, right?
Yeah. It's very important. Just learning what it's like on the other side of the fence, and
and not
realizing,
being afraid.
and not being afraid. Yeah.
I think like in the States or in other countries, they want to show you what they want to show you. So if they're afraid and they tell you things to put fear in you, so you have this preconceived idea about these places. But I always tell my kids, I said, don't listen to anybody. If you are curious, go there, fly there, see what it's like for yourselves, because you will never learn about the people and the environment unless it's with your own eyes.
Yeah.
So it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been, I even thought, oh, well, Saudi Arabia, I already understand the culture. I'd been here, I'd visited, how different could it be from being in the Emirates or going to Oman? My God, it is so different. And there are so many, like when you say global cultures, it's almost like just even within this country, there are probably well, it's certainly big enough that it could be 12 or 14 separate nations, but there aren't, separate cultures. And, when I meet people at work who come from those different areas, they'll tell me about it. But then when we go out and you see The dress changes, the food changes, and the culture changes. Even within a country of this size, we're embracing global cultures at a microscopic level or microcosmic level.
Yeah, for sure. Every country has different regions and different dialects and
Yeah.
subcultures. What have been some of the challenges that you may have experienced in your travels?
Biggest challenge has been driving in the desert from day one. For the first time we ever did it, I think, the bottom of our Land Rover had this thing that I think it was a panel that there was like a tow hitch. That panel always came off. So we're losing parts. I think we cracked a radiator, rolled a tire off the rim. I mean, the desert just is unforgiving. I mean, and so unpredictable, and you have to be so incredibly hyper focused when you're driving it because you just don't know. You're driving up a dune, you don't know what's on the other end of that edge. Is it a ledge? Is it flat? Is it a drop? You have no idea. But I think for us driving in the desert is one of the biggest challenges, navigating and sort of keeping your bearing, trying to focus on the terrain while not letting it kill you. But it almost did. I think one of our biggest challenges was we last year rolled our car down a dune. So that's actually been, it was a kind of a traumatic experience. The five of us with Rocky, we were all in the car. It wasn't a big roll. It was a single roll, but it was traumatic enough experience. Now I think that's probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Getting over that, getting back into the desert.
But it didn't stop us. We continue, you have to, or else, I think living in this region, you have to be able to get from point A to point B. And sometimes it involves a dune. Yeah. But there are people who just love the dune and are doing it every weekend. But for us, we'll only do it if we need to,
Yeah.
But
lesson learned.
Yeah.
What's been the most meaningful moment for you?
For me is having my kids come home for the summer, for the Christmas season, and for them to be with us, and we're out camping with them, and to show them where we are, where their parents are living, and they love it so much that they want to come home every holiday, I think that's the beauty of it. They just enjoy the outdoors as much as we do. And I think that time disconnected from the world is so special to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, then like we said, I think that one place we went to near Alula, that was probably one of the most meaningful moments I had. I mean, we were in it was a perfectly black sky. The stars were just everywhere. Almost like they were just, from the horizon all the way up, all the way down. And, you could see you felt like you could see every single one. So I think that was probably an amazing moment. I mean, you felt connected to each other. We felt connected to the land. We felt connected to the world. I mean, that was a special moment.
Yeah.
The conditions were perfect then for that.
Just everything. And to have, 20-year-olds say that they're enjoying themselves and that this place is so incredible. I mean, for me, it touched me. It just made me feel like, how am I so lucky to have these two guys who are just willing to just do anything and go anywhere with us blindly, But they're just happy to see that we're happy and not just sitting at home, feeling bored or depressed because we don't have any family here. We don't, it's hard to make friends here because people are so busy with their own lives.
Yeah, we were talking about that this weekend when we were out. One of the folks we were with even said, people always sort of say, well, what am I going to do? And there's nothing to do here in Saudi Arabia. You go to the mall, what are we going to do? And we're like, look around you. Every single trip we take here, we're in a different place. It's a different space. It's a different geography. There's so much to see, and people are just, not are like afraid to leave. Some people even feel it's not safe. They feel they can't even leave their compound. So it's kind of it's a sad situation.
Sad.
Because there's just so much to offer here. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's very true. How do you think exploration has changed you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's made us more patient for sure. You have to always learn how to deal with the unexpected, and you just don't know what what's coming, how's it going to happen, what's going to happen. So you really have to be patient. You have to be resilient. I think it's taught us resilience.
It's good to have plans, but sometimes those plans don't really, go as plans. So you have to learn how to be adaptable.
Mm.
And that's, yeah, for someone, I love to plan everything, by hour. And it's taught me to just go with the flow. Life is just too short to be so in a box. Yeah, to be.
Just meeting all the different people and the different cultures and the different way people live. I think that changes us too. And I think, and that was also something that we loved exposing the boys to, who grew up in this bubble of the UAE. Always people think of Dubai and it's extravagance. We'd love to take them out of that and show them, all these different ways that people live, so they understood that this is not normal. What we're seeing now is more normal, So that was, I think that was a big way big change for us, right? Just being
Balance.
exposed to so many different cultures.
Yeah. Do you guys miss the US, or do you feel, because I grew up in a similar kind of expat community, you just have this luxury of living in a world that's completely different, and then coming home to your passport country.
Yeah.
Is...
I don't.
I don't miss it.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but most of the times I don't. Having been exposed to, the way we live now and the way we love to go exploring, I realized that, we didn't really explore the US, and that's a massive country with such an incredible geography, so many different places to go. But I don't know, right now, the US it's just complicated. And I think, the politically and socially, it's just doesn't really draw us back. And I think maybe the fact that our parents are no longer with us and we don't go back to see them anymore, obviously, there's nothing to really go back to. We'd rather, have our kids who are over there in college come back here and visit us and go on an adventure with us, rather than, go and deal with the nonsense that's going on in the US.
Yeah. So Explore More has a mantra, which is to explore more of the world, engage with others, and embrace global cultures. What does that mean to you?
Well, I guess explore more means never settle, keep moving, keep going out there and finding new things. Engaging with others is, embracing humanity, and embracing global cultures is just keep learning. I mean, I think one of the things I always tell people at work, if I didn't learn something today, it's not a good day. I didn't have a good day.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the best ways to keep learning.
And stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And embracing others that are different. People can live differently, eat different food, but to be open-minded and not be kind of squeamish when they're offering you their most prized, foods. And you're just no. But it's good to try things. And I think that's what has opened our minds and our eyes to everything.
Yeah.
It's endless. There's so much to learn every day, no matter how old you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So what would be one piece of advice you'd give to anyone who's on the fence thinking, oh, I really want to go explore a country or get out there?
Just do it. I mean, you don't need a plan. You don't need anything special. You don't need a perfect setup. You don't need a perfect car. Just take what you have, go. That's how you find out kind of the things that you need and don't need. And I think that would just tell people, do it, go for it, right?
I think worry less, because I'm a worrywart. And this whole exploration has just, have given me this faith that it will end well. This too shall pass.
Even after we rolled the dunes, we drove the car back home. We made it back, we got it fixed. Yeah.
I think just having an open mind to things that you don't know, I'd say just go do it.
It's a good representation of life itself anyways. You just get up each morning, go do it.
Yeah.
And it will be okay in the end.
Yeah.
It's true.
It always is.
Wonderful. Well, it's been great talking. How can people follow your adventures and get some inspiration from you?
Well, follow us on YouTube, Instagram. And those are the two platforms we're probably the most active when we're active, at Tank Campers. So Tank Campers, it's tank like a tank, and ampers without the C. It's follows the K of the tank.
Mm-hmm.
They can always see us there. I mean, a little bit on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok a little bit, but yeah.
All the socials.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for sharing your perspective and your story, and I will wish you good well.
Thank you so much, Charles. Nice to meet you.
Nice
We're
to meet you.
inspired by everything you guys did, inspired by your parents and their adventure. I think that documenting that adventure is absolutely amazing and inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it just it doesn't matter what decade you've gone to travel. Travel has the same effect on you.
Yeah.
So it's important to explore.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, they instilled that in me, and you're instilling that with your children. So
Yeah.
it's important to pass down to the next generation.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the show. If you want to share feedback, please hit the comments below or head over to exploremore.com/feedback for more information. If you want to see more interviews and other content, then please hit the subscribe button. Cheers.